So this video has a couple of different things going on. I have been listening to Jordan Peterson, and yes, my brain is almost about to explode. Listening to an intellectual incel or incel apologist is amazing and is aggravating, but I am doing it for you guys. So I have a couple of Jordan Peterson clips, and I have a duet from a TikTok mutual who is a child-free woman. And she is talking about the reason why so many women are opting out. And then I follow it with some clips of women speaking in her comment section. Women are saying one thing, men are clearly not listening to the women. So please stay tuned for all of these clips put together.
I can't even describe the level of rage I feel when I see men exploiting and taking advantage of and taking for granted the women in their lives who are their wife and the mother of their children. Not only do I agree with this commenter, because I feel the same way as an adult, seeing some of my friends with kids and my family being married basically to complete idiots and having to do nearly everything on their own. It made me very wary from a very young age of ever getting into that same sort of situation. But for me, I think the thing that gets me the most angry about those situations is just watching the way in which the men in those marriages are so unbelievably comfortable taking advantage of their wives. It just blows my mind to see the level of entitlement and selfishness that so many of these men function within in their life to a person that they promised to commit to, stay loyal to, and to basically take care of back. And then they don't do any of those things. If anything, they almost think it's kind of a joke that they can get away with so much or that they do whatever they want. You know, a lot of them brag about how they'll do whatever they fucking want to do, and there's nothing that their wife could do to make them change that. And yes, part of me wants to shake those women and be like, why are you with these guys? Why did you choose these guys? There's that part of me that, just like the dumb men who come into the comment section saying, choose better men. There's this part of me that's like, why did you do that? But I know it's not their fault because I know how these men operate. I've dated men like this before, and I know the way in which they can present as really nice people at first. And then you get wrapped up in these relationships, and over the course of time, before you know it, it's not so easy for you to leave. And for a lot of women, they can't leave. But with all this conversation surrounding why there are so many single, lonely men out there and why so many women are choosing to stay single and not have children, it's because of this. It's because we are witnessing firsthand what having children with men can do to our lives. And we're witnessing it from a perspective of actually finally having a real choice and opportunity to not go down that road, but to live lives on our own terms and really be able to survive and do what's best for us, which a lot of women who came before us just absolutely never had the opportunity to do. It's why things are changing so quickly for us. And it's what's causing all of this upheaval in heterosexual relationships right now. The fact of the matter is that the moment women got the freedom to no longer need men, they walked straight away from them. And that should make men question what had been going on, that we ran the moment we could.
The reason why TikTok and other social media platforms are so powerful is because women get to shape their own narratives. A lot of the times in the conversations about women and childbirth and the decline, men are having discussions with men. The policymakers are men. The women, I do not see the women being involved. So here are some of the comments on a TikTok post. This woman says, I've spent my life observing relationships where the woman deserves so much better. Society normalizes toxic imbalances. That is the issue, the imbalances at home. This woman is doing better for her daughter. So the next generation of women are going to be even more savage than this. She says, yep, trying to drill it into my daughter's heads. He's either helping or he's a burden. So I need the men to understand that if they don't get it together right now and create a better example for the young boys of right now. The daughters are going to just cut it. This one. The constant joking I heard growing up of, I have 3 kids, 4 if you count my husband, and everyone would laugh. That's not funny. It's not funny. Men really do need to see and hear the women talking about this so that they can make some changes, because women are opting out because they are tired of pulling the load of another human adult. This woman says, they are charming up front. We end up trapped. We don't walk in knowing what's going to happen. When people talk about choose better, it is impossible to choose better if people are masking their intentions or how they will be. And you never know how people are going to be a year from now, a week from now, 10 years from now, once the baby comes. You can't predict how people will change. All you can do is change how you handle it going forward. This woman says, as a little girl, I was told my job was going to school. So I went on strike from chores because dad worked and he didn't have any chores. This person says, in preschool, I wrote that I wanted to be my dad when I grew up, because he got to sit on the couch and do whatever he wanted. I know people like to demonize single parent households, but 2-parent households that have a man that is checked out or still adheres to strict traditional boxes where women do everything can be just as harmful. So keep that in mind. You guys get into the comments. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, share.
It's very hard to identify well, it seems obvious that, one of the causes, the distal causes, I would say clearly, is the promotion of the birth control pill. But even that is a somewhat shallow answer, because there's a very specific set of social and economic realities, zeitgeist, that even made the invention and distribution and acceptance of the birth control possible, right? You had to have the psychological stage set for the acceptance of that technology, the demand for that technology, before it could be developed or implemented. And so, so you started the documentary, you're in chapter 1, you're starting to...
So Jordan Peterson thinks that the birth rate is going down simply because of birth control and access. They are not willing to understand or listen to women and understand that women are opting out because the unequal or imbalance of work that it takes to rear these children. He's only looking at, oh my gosh, these women have the opportunity to opt out and they get to go to school. That's the problem. They don't want to admit or see that the male counterparts are also the problem.
Where women typically want to marry someone at least as educated, at least as successful, taller than they are. But if we're in a situation where there's so few men getting the same level of education, we might be left with this imbalance.
That's already happening, clearly. Yeah, it's very difficult for women to overcome the hypergamous instinct, because they're trying to redress the imbalance in terms of reproductive responsibility. And there's no evidence at all. You get a little bit of flattening of hypergamy in extremely egalitarian societies like Scandinavia, but it certainly doesn't disappear. And so that's built in at a very fundamental biological level. And I don't think any casual tinkering on the anthropological or sociological front is going to shift that a bit. So that's a big problem.
It's a big problem.
It's also the case, too, that if marriages where the wife out-earns or out-statuses the husband tend to be comparatively unstable and violent. So, now you can lay that at the feet of the men if you're inclined to, but in some sense it doesn't really matter, because that's the way it is. And so the women are unhappy and the men are threatened, and that's just not a good recipe for marital stability.
So everyone loses in this situation.
Did you guys see how Jordan Peterson just skipped over the fact that these men might be violent or, and women might opt out or might not like that? Like, yeah, it's bad. And moving on. And then they're talking about, women wanting a man that is successful. We live in an economy that is unsustainable. And of course, we are looking to go to work so that we can eat. If you have kids, you need to put them somewhere. Rents are expensive. Childcare is expensive. Medical expenses are expensive. Why are these people incapable of discussing the issues overall? They're just like, men don't have access to women anymore. It's the women's fault. They are declining to have access. Why? But the way he just skipped over he might be violent and that's bad, but let's go on to the next subject.
Question. I think we almost always ask questions backwards. Why people become useless, that's not a mystery. It's easy to be useless. The mystery is why that doesn't happen to everyone all the time. And the answer is because we build up extremely careful structures of societal discipline to encourage people to adopt mature long-term responsibility and to reward them judiciously for doing so. And when you allow those structures to collapse or work consciously to undermine them, then you get default to the default. And the default is useless. It's short-term gratification. And so you never need an explanation for that. It's like, well, why do people turn to short-term gratification? Because it's gratifying in the short term. It's easy. Now, encouraging men to shed their Peter Pan persona, juvenile Peter Pan persona, and to adopt mature responsibility, that's a real challenge for every society. And we are increasingly not only failing at doing that, but punishing young men for developing, say, the virtues of ambition and even sexual desire for that matter. So, all right, so chapter 1.
That last clip was absolutely ridiculous. Why would women bring on a burden if a man is not able to help and make himself useful in today's day and age, where women are out enrolling men in school, where we have jobs, where we actually still have some rights? Yes, we will opt out if the opposite, or if our options look like a burden. So to take what he is saying and listen to it is just like, are we supposed to just suck it up and deal with these people, or should they change? They should change. These people should be talking to the men. Whew. But instead they are shaming the women for not wanting them and not just dealing with them. Anyways, I listened to Jordan Peterson for an hour, and I did that for you guys. Please jump in the comment section and tell me what you think. Like, comment, share.